Cool. Just another day, man. How you feeling today? How you feeling?
I'm good. What's going on?
All good, man. All good. Just another
Nice
week.
one. Yeah.
And another day.
Yes.
A lot to talk about.
Welcome to episode 2.
Episode 2
of Black Star Reflections.
That's it.
Yes. If you haven't listened to the first episode, go on to Spotify, go on to Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. Look up Black Star Reflections.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Black Star Reflections podcast.
Yes, sir.
But as always, the ritual must go on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Today we are not too conspicuous today.
Mm-hmm.
We are displaying what we're drinking today.
Yes, you can see what it is. Yes, sir.
Some good stuff though, isn't it?
Good stuff, Charlie.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Anyway, how's your week been?
Good.
I mean, last week we were here recording.
Yeah.
It's another week. How you feeling? How's your week been? All good.
It's been good. It's been very busy. But you know what they say, busy is good sometimes. So yeah, it was good. Productive week.
Yeah.
All in all. How's yours?
Man, it's been great. It's been great. It's been one of those weeks where bittersweet feeling.
Yeah.
Had a bit of things going on at work and all of that. But then again, like you said, man must be busy.
Exactly.
So it's good to be busy. Yeah.
Keep the wheels grinding at all times.
We gotta do it. Yeah. A lot's been happening.
Yeah.
A lot has been happening.
Yeah. And I feel like a good because I know that we're both studying. So besides full-time work, there's also, academic stuff that we're pursuing, individually. So,
That's true.
How are you like managing that with work and your kids and wife? How's that going?
Oh man, I think post-pandemic a lot has happened though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like I quite remember when before all we knew was you go into the classroom and you sit in the classroom and sort of soak it in, go back and do homework, But I think a lot has changed since COVID-19.
Yeah.
So as you well know, I'm doing it online.
Yeah.
And it's been quite helpful because you're able to sort of merge what you're doing at work or at home and still be able to find time to study. You don't necessarily have to go into the classroom and sit there and soak it all in. So I think it's been all right. Albeit some challenges. Obviously before you can go into the classroom and relate to people and that kind of vibe where you take some people's numbers and you think, man, you can help me with this, and you go, because when you're in a classroom it's quite easier. You see people answering questions and you're thinking, man, this guy must know a lot. So he's gonna be my friend.
Exactly.
But this is a situation where it's mostly on Zoom or Teams and you're thinking, how am I gonna reach out to these people? But quite aside from that, I think it's been brilliant. And it's been quite helpful with the work-life balance and all that. That's good. And then you have been studying, man.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
How's it been on your end as well?
Yeah, bro, it's been the same. Like obviously it's not easy working full time and then studying. Making time for family and then making time to do your assignments and do your reading and all of that stuff. So it's been rough all in all, but like you say, post COVID, it has kind of, there's been some kind of forced or accelerated innovation.
I think so.
Where all of these technologies that we were either using in one form or the other, now there have been different business cases. So like we can use that to study, we can attend meetings, we can do all sorts of stuff.
Brilliant.
So like with my course, for example, they do these live streams because most of the people studying are like in different parts of the world. So they do live streams. Yeah. But granted, there are different time zones. So what I normally do is I just go and watch a recorded version of the live stream and I just catch up. Yeah. So it helps, you know, you can kind of follow things at your own pace.
Which
which
I think, man, whoever thought about this, because I quite remember when it was COVID. Even the kids had to stay home, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they were doing this Google Classroom, and at that time I was thinking, man, why do we have to, as parents, why do we have to go through all the stress? You know, because when the kids go to school, ideally you think this is my time to work, or this is my time to put my feet up and chill,
do other stuff.
But during the pandemic, it was more or less like you are full on with them.
Exactly.
Because they need to do the assignments and you need to go back in there and scan. And I'm sure most parents or most of the listeners out there even had that period where they were thinking, man, am I the one going to school here? You know? I felt that at that time. And at that time, I wasn't studying or anything. But I felt like, so I have to sit with the little one, do the assignment, scan it, and then send it back to the teachers. And there was a point where the teachers were sending emails thinking, man, you haven't sent in this yet.
So
I'm thinking, man,
who's going to school here? Is it you or is it the kids?
It was awesome. But yeah, it's at that time I felt like, man, a lot of things there's been like this paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Where I felt like future was definitely gonna be different.
Yeah.
You know that feeling you have, like, man, if we are doing this now, are we ever gonna go back to the traditional way of doing things?
Yeah, you got a good point there. I think the whole pandemic thing forced people to think of other ways to achieve things.
Yeah,
a lot of businesses had to pivot their business strategies. People that were selling, traditionally face to face, they had a storefront basically. People had to think of clever ways to sell their things, or they had to think of other products they could sell. And I think, like you said, it has become the new normal, and going back to the traditional way of doing things that we did before, like going for classes in person or going to work
gonna happen. Well, I know some people are doing it.
Yeah, no,
some people are back
it's
doing
happening. It's happening. I think that's kind of become it's an option.
Yeah.
The virtual thing is also an option.
It's an option,
exactly. Yeah.
Which I think people prefer that.
Yeah.
Do you not reckon?
Well, sorry, what do you mean?
People prefer to do virtual now because they feel, man, I can still do this school or this course or whatever it is and get on with my life. You know, the usual stuff that they do on a day-to-day basis. So, I know a few people who have actually opted to do either like a hybrid kind of schooling system, or like a personal going into only virtual version of things rather than going into the traditional way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, is that because COVID literally messed up with our brains here, because staying at home coercively, I should say, it's not an easy feat, is it?
Yeah.
But when COVID happened, you were still in Canada, weren't you?
Yeah, I was still in Canada.
How was it back then, man? Tell me.
It was crazy, bro. So I think it was like the whole thing started to go crazy in like February, February of 2020 is when it started to go crazy over there.
That's when people actually realized, man, this thing is killing people here.
Bro, I literally, I thought like the world was going to end. I thought like that was it. People would start falling, like dying like flies. And then, it's like one of those movies, like you feel like, the next thing you're going to hear, this so-and-so neighbor is dead and this person's dead and people are going to barricade themselves inside. And that's what I felt.
Yeah, man, I had a similar feeling, but I'll tell you later. Crack on, man.
But yeah, it was crazy. And I think I didn't go to work for, I think it was March. They're like, my company was like, all of you guys stay home. When we're ready to resume business, the way we normally would, we'll call you guys back. So, from March, pretty much we're just like at home chilling. And for me at the time, I lived by myself. My wife was here. So, I'm in the house for a few months, or for, let's say the first 2 months, I was just doing anything. I just wake up, I play video games, I eat,
It's still good pay.
and then after after a while, I'm like, I actually need to do something with this time. I need to study, I need to read.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. You know?
Yeah. That's brilliant. I can't remember when it was COVID, man. I wasn't working in the role which I am currently in. I was working as a stock integrity clerk, and because it was more of a logistics kind of thing.
Yeah,
you cannot work from home.
Yeah,
so they never gave us the options to do that. However, they were furloughing people, so people were being furloughed. Mm-hmm. So you stay home. Mm-hmm. And you get, I think, 75% of, I don't quite recall, but I think it was around whatever percentage of it.
Yeah.
Thinking, man, I need the money and there's nothing to do here. I can't remember we going to work and it's like everybody's is glued onto their phone with 8-ball pool.
Bro,
everybody downloaded 8-ball pool.
That game. It's a banger.
And then we all sort of friended each other. So we're sitting in the office, we're like,
so you guys basically there playing tournaments. Whatever.
That's what we did. That's exactly what we did. And there was this bloke called Kieran. Like, I was always on this team because the guy is a good snooker player.
Yeah.
And then, man, that's all we did. And it was brilliant. Thinking, man, we're here. It's nothing to do.
Yeah.
No cars coming in.
Yeah.
No drivers to sort of deal with. No emails coming through that's sort of, really damaging or anything to deal with. So it was brilliant. Sitting in there, going, do your 8 hours, get paid 100% instead of being furloughed. Well, sorry to the company, but that's what we had to do, so we did it. But it's one of those. COVID gave us. It's changed a lot of things, to be honest. But moving into, like you said, studying on a virtual level, I think it's got its pros and it's got its cons.
Yeah.
What I find to struggle with is getting the tutor to respond to me immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm thinking, I need to finish this today, and she, bless her, disposed somewhere. And then she'll reply 2 days later, like, I'm sorry about that, but then it's messed up with my groove, and at that time I'm probably busy at work or whatever it is. But all in all, I cannot fault virtual systems. Really, the technology has done a lot for us.
I guess it has its flaws. Nothing's ever going to be 100%. But speaking of the whole pandemic, kind of reminded me of something.
Yeah. So
I feel like the pandemic, so the world came to a stop, essentially. And, people began to pay more attention to checking in on your friends or your family, especially for us, we're from Ghana, right? Yeah. So you're calling home, you're checking, what's going on in Ghana, how many COVID cases, because I remember there was a website or something that used to update, there's 50,000 confirmed cases in Ghana and 100,000 here. So we used to call home more often. We used to check in on our family. And then it kind of it reminds me of the fact that even though we're away from home, I guess we tend to but we tend to get out of touch with what's happening back home because we're concerned with our lives here, with, our family, our jobs, all the things that we're doing. Yeah. And then that kind of forced us to kind of get in touch more, to be a bit closer.
That's right.
To check in on people, send messages,
that's true. That's true. It helped build, in as much as it was a bit, it put us in isolation and whatnot, it still helped us build more.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think I was reaching out to my mom and my family more, just to figure out how you guys doing for today, and how you coughing?
Yeah,
because at that time, anybody who coughs is a victim. It's like, man, you got COVID.
it was almost like those like medieval movies, like, oh, this person's caught the plague, let's take them to the city center and
isolate them.
Bro, it's crazy. Or take them to the gallows, the dungeon.
Lock them up.
Bro, but if you like coughed for maybe you had an allergy or something, people just like start to look at you suspect. Like, what's this guy on?
Yeah. It was ridiculous. I mean, because in the UK at that time they said you can only leave your home for essential travel.
Yeah.
So
Canada.
Yeah. So basically, you're going to buy groceries or whatever it is. Yeah, go. Yeah, but you need to be en route when you're being caught up by the police. Just in case, you need to either be en route to work as an essential worker, or you're going to buy food, which is essential.
Shouts all the essential workers. You're kind of an essential worker yourself now. Shall see you.
Cheers, buddy. Cheers, mate. I'll take it all. Yeah. Essential worker working essential.
Bro.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
But then, so at that time, like going into the shops, and you're thinking, well, okay. You're walking in a shop and everybody is like suspicious of each other. Like, you might have COVID and you're coming to buy food,
bro,
which is possible, isn't it? Even the people at the till, like scanning the stuff, you like looking at them like, man, do not cough, because the moment they cough, they are like, man, you're a suspect here. You got COVID, go home. You know. And it was easier to get off work as well, wasn't it? Like when you go to work and you cough 1, 2, 3, 4, you're like, just go home. It was brilliant.
It reminds me of that was a crazy time. It's like,
it was
times like that don't, I guess that the last pandemic was like 1910 or something like that, or 1912.
Was that
Spanish? Was that Spanish flu? I can't remember what it was.
Oh, okay, flu rather.
Something.
Yeah, I think had to do with a precedent of H1N1.
Something like that. Something like that, but it's crazy.
Yeah, people. It was different time at that time. Really, it's no social media. There was no internet.
no socials. Just
I can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine how like what sort of reasoning people had. Maybe people had like like sort of like religious or spiritual reasons. They say, they probably would attribute it because
sent from God.
At that time,
God is punishing us.
Medicine wasn't as advanced as it is today. So they probably, people were probably like, this is because so and so nations have been, but it was the same with this past pandemic as well. There's all kinds of stories and conspiracy theories about.
We love conspiracy theories.
We love them, but some of them were crazy, bro.
Those crazy one.
I'm not gonna go deep into some of them, but
if you can dig on one, just one.
The crazy one for me was like the 5G one. They're like the whole thing has to do with 5G somehow.
I never understood.
And there was, I'm not gonna mention any names, but there was a prominent man of God that was like, propagating this type of information on in his church. He's like, the whole thing has to do with 5G, and the guy had like presentation slides and stuff in church. He's like projected the whole thing, and he's like, okay, well, if you look here, it's like there's a link between COVID and then the 5G network, and then all the I'm like, bro,
how is that even possible?
How is that even possible? But hey.
But then, thank God, we go over that and we realized it wasn't 5G because people actually believed them.
Yeah, no, I don't blame people. If a guy with that level of influence is telling you something,
you might as well just. Sometimes people just tend to take it in.
But I guess that's a good reminder to question everything. I think that's an essential thing that if. All of us. I know that you and we have a similar philosophy. But I think everyone should cultivate a similar mindset. Is try and question things. Don't always take things as they are given you or as you're told. Try and ask questions. Even if you're not, I'm not saying go and question authority and then challenge people. It's good to challenge people, but within yourself, introspect and think, this thing that I'm being told or this thing that I've read, could there be another side to it? Could there be another opinion? Could there be another argument? I think that generally, I think that's the best way for humanity, for us to progress, especially as Africans. You know, I think we should be more in the habit of questioning things that we're told by, you know, leadership and, you know, people in our communities and stuff.
Yeah, word. I mean, I, like you said, it's quite similar with both of us, because when I listen to something, I always try to see the other way. Okay, so, you say 5G. You've shown all this presentation. Now, I did watch that presentation. I watched a few clips on that thing. And I'm thinking, man, okay, so if it is 5G, is it coming from the rays then? Like, I couldn't figure it out. How? And then at that time, China, where the whole thing emanated from, was not even on top of their 5G systems. So how on earth did we record the first COVID case from, what was the name of the place? You remember? Somewhere in China.
Yeah, Wuhan.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, man, Wuhan is not even like a huge city,
bro.
It's literally like a normal town, isn't it?
Yeah, bro. Like the whole time, there's this guy I went to high school with who actually, at the time, he was doing his master's. I think he's doing his PhD now. I don't know if he's doing the same place, but he was literally in Wuhan while all of this stuff was popping off. He was there.
Flipping hell.
And he was like, he has a YouTube channel, so he was posting stuff on YouTube. But it wasn't the stuff he was posting versus the stuff that we're seeing on the news and stuff. It was kind of a bit different. I know it was pandemic. There was like lockdown and the people wearing their masks and stuff. But it didn't seem as crazy.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, it wasn't what people were posting on, like, at the point, I think they banned social media in that area because they were posting different things as opposed to what they were reporting on CNN and Al Jazeera and all of these places. But in the end, COVID became a global thing, man. So, and it has impacted on all our lives, one way or the other.
It has.
One way or the other.
For one thing, I'm here in the UK. I would say I won't go into detail, but I would say it kind of maybe
played a role
in rethinking the relocation and everything.
But you know, like
all the lost souls.
That's true, right? Earlier on, you did say that during the pandemic, we were able to sort of like get in touch with family more, and you know, sort of get closer, build better relationships, and all of that. Do you think technology on itself has played a role? Because I quite remember when way back, was it 2010? It was Viber. I don't know if you remember the app. Viber that I was using to reach out to my mom and, you know, like people of distance, because you couldn't afford the call credits and all of that.
Yeah.
And Viber from nowhere just popped up, and it's just free calls to everywhere in the world.
Bro. Yeah, you're bringing back some big memories, bro. Bro.
Yeah. Man. Now it's WhatsApp. Everybody knows it. But at that time, Viber was on top of its game. And it sort of breached a lot of gaps, and, you know, it rebuilt bridges between families, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Yeah.
Reflecting to those back home and thinking, man, you couldn't make us. You remember I remember when I was quite little, my dad used to record a cassette. You know, you remember those cassettes that goes in there, you push and you press play.
Yeah.
You have to push it down though. It's not gonna work. And then you can hear them saying, "Oh, this is side one of the cassette."
Yeah.
And then they will give the date and then the time, and they're thinking, man, it will reach Ghana in 6 months. It's amazing how technology has evolved, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember as a kid, similar thing, how we used to go to because we didn't have like mobile phones or anything, so we would go, because my dad was in the army, as you know, so we would go when my dad went on deployment. We'll go to, like, on Sundays, we'll go to the phone booth, and you know, cantonments in those days was Ghana Telecom.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had their office there, which is what now they call it the Vodafone Cafe. You know where the post office is? in cantonment.
Oh yeah. Just before you go into that lane and you take a right.
Yes, it's like so we used to go there, and they had the big old phone
telephone
booths. So you had like the card, Ghana Telecom card, exactly, bro.
Yeah,
and then we like 50 units, 100 units, 150 units. So we go there with our mom, and then our mom like calls our dad on the thing, and then we talk to him on the phone. This is like after church, talk to him, and then after then we drive back home. So those are fun times. Those are fun times.
A lot has changed. A lot has changed, hasn't it?
A lot has changed. As we're talking about this, I just remembered something we spoke about earlier. We're talking about, how like people living abroad, based on the fact that we just spoke about our dads, communicating to us from different countries. And I saw something somewhere. I can't remember where it is. I can't remember. If I do, we'll put it on the screen.
Yeah.
The stats. So basically about how much money, I can't remember if it was specifically African immigrants or immigrants generally.
Yeah.
How much they send, like remittances they send back home. We had this discussion earlier. How much they send back home and how much of an impact it is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I don't remember the number, but it was a ridiculous number.
It's crazy.
It was a ridiculous number.
It's crazy. I think because we were talking about that before a while ago. It's amazing how like because you look at a country like Nigeria, that's times 10 of our population.
Yeah. So Nigeria, Ghana is like at this point in time, I think we're about 30 something million, 33 or 34. Yeah. And Nigeria is
250
something like that,
from their last consensus. But when you speak to fellow Nigerians, our brothers and sisters out there, they'll say
shout to all Nigerians.
Shout to all the Niger boys. They'll say that most of them were not counted. That's what they say. I spoke to a Nigerian quite recently, a bloke of mine, a colleague of mine actually, and he said to me that he at that time was in Ghana. He was in Nigeria. He was not counted. So he's thinking, man, a lot of people, if I didn't get counted, because he works on the rig, so if I didn't get counted, then probably how many people didn't get counted? And it was 250 million at the time.
I think it's fair because in Africa there's a lot of places that are quite hard to reach, especially I'll speak for West Africa because that's where I'm from. There's a lot of villages that can't be accessed by the road. A bit like difficult to get to. And knowing the way things work back home, I'm sure like the census guys are like, you know what, that village is a bit hard to get, so let's
probably 20
skip
people there. Let's put 20 there, man.
So I wouldn't be surprised even for Ghana, for our population.
It says 34, but it's probably more.
It's probably like maybe like 37 to 40. I wouldn't be surprised.
I will not be surprised. But yeah, speaking of remittances, man, it's I recently logged into my. I used to use this app called Sendwave. And then I stopped and I moved on to Sendwave though. But your rates are not really helpful at this point in time. And then I moved on to another app. I'm not gonna mention the app because I'm not doing any paid promotions yet.
Let me find. I just want to know which one without mentioning the name. Is it does it have like green? Is green part of their, branding?
Whatever, with an orange or red thing.
I know what you're talking about,
I moved on to that app, by the way. And I sort of went through my Sendwave at the time for a period. And I've realized that the amount of money that I've sent back home is I wouldn't say ridiculous, but it's
substantial.
Substantial. That's probably the word, man. It's huge. And I get quite worried sometimes. I wonder. So is this helping the economy, or is it breaking the economy? How is it impacting the Ghanaian economy if all these amount of remittances are coming in? Because obviously it's not just me. I'm sure most Ghanaians who live abroad are actually sending money regularly back home. Yeah. I look at it from this point of view. It's probably because I was reading some stats after we spoke that it makes close to 5% of our GDP, believe it or not.
Oh, the remittances
That we make.
Wow.
The taxes that they make off it.
That is crazy.
Makes close to 5%. And this is stats coming from World Bank from 2022.
That's crazy.
So that's interesting, really. That's really interesting to find out that all the money that we are sending as diaspora back home is accounting to close to 5% of our GDP.
That's insane,
huge, isn't it?
That is insane.
That's the on the positive side of things, actually. So you look at that, and you think it's because obviously all these monies that's being sent is either going to family or is going in directly into a business.
Into a business, you're buying something or paying for something
or something like that. And that's all quite really helpful to the economy, because obviously if you send it to family is going to spend this, family is going to get taxed. If you send it to your own business or to a business, the business is going to pay taxes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it plays a role, and then not just that. I think those of us in the diaspora really being those who are actually being accountable for the fact that they know where they come from.
Yeah,
it's really good, because you find people like our own Nigerian, Israel, who is building like this complex back home. You know,
what, in Nigeria?
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
I saw something in New Zealand, but I didn't know he was doing something in Nigeria.
Doing something back
that's
home.
That's crazy. Well, that's good.
I think his dad was it the dad that was taking care of it?
Yeah, I know his dad is like, his dad plays a big role in like the financial side, helping him manage it, and that's beautiful to see. Brilliant. But yeah, I didn't know that. That's actually
it's brilliant.
Sick.
I mean, if you see all the contributions that people do back home, then you can tell that at least we are not looking forward in terms of where we are only. We are looking back as well, which is really good. I mean, you create the jobs.
Yeah.
Artisans, obviously, if you're doing a building project, artisans are gonna get paid.
You're gonna pay the locals to
pay the locals, which is all good. So diaspora is not that bad. I mean, I've seen that the executive branch in Ghana as well have created the diaspora office of the diaspora, or whatever it is.
Do you know what I've seen? There's a guy I follow, and I don't remember his name, on Instagram.
Yeah,
but I think he plays a role with this thing you're talking, this office of the diaspora.
Yeah.
With respect to the, the whole, like, to the youth part of it, and then he played a part in the whole Year of Return campaign. Anyway, for those that don't know what the Year of Return, could you shed some light on what that was, just so people understand what we're talking about?
So basically, the Year of Return, so it had to do with the government of Ghana realizing that there are a lot of Ghanaian brothers and sisters in the diaspora that have no idea they're actually from Ghana. So we saw, I think the government of Ghana set up this committee, and then they start to plan for a Year of Return and give that the opportunity for every Ghanaian. So I think people went in and did a lot of DNA tracing and all of that. And then those who were linked to Ghana in that sub-Saharan section, most of them were given the opportunity to come back home. And apparently the government also gave them a lot of lands, isn't it?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they set up this section. I think it's close to Nsawam, which is still in the capital city. And then they set up huge acres of land.
Yeah.
Huge acres of land. And then they sort of give that out and say, if you want to come back home, we'll give you a portion of land for you to sort of resettle here. So obviously build, set up a business, whatever it is that you want to do. And then most people actually went back home.
And I heard Stevie Wonder has been granted a Ghanaian citizenship as well.
Shouts to Stevie.
shout out to brother Stevie.
Stevie
Welcome
Wonder.
home, Akwaba.
Speaking of Stevie, I'm not gonna sidetrack, but there's a funny, actually very funny conspiracy theory about Stevie Wonder. Let's not go into it now.
Crack on, mate. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
The reason I say it's funny is because we obviously Stevie Wonder's blind, right?
Yeah.
And there's like people are saying that he can actually see.
Really?
Because apparently, bro, Stevie.
This is
Uncle
a proper
Stevie,
conspiracy
bro,
theory.
Uncle Stevie, apparently,
Uncle Stevie can see?
Someone, I can't remember, one of the black celebrities said they saw him. So they went somewhere and then I think he asked them to come outside.
Yeah.
They hopped in a car and he's like, I'm gonna drive. So he sat behind the steering wheel and then he put the car in reverse or something. I don't remember the full story, but apparently this is one of the many stories I've heard. And apparently the guy basically just conducts his business, like he's blind, or we think he's blind. He's doing his stuff, he's walking around, and all of a sudden he does something that a blind person shouldn't be able to do. So I don't know if it's true, but I've heard it or I've seen it a few times. I've seen like people talking about it a few times, and it's funny. So I just thought
that's amazing, man. Uncle Stevie, if you can see, man, God bless you for that.
God bless you, bro. God bless you regardless.
Regardless, but if you can see, God bless you for that, man. That would be awesome. But congratulations on being granted a Ghanaian citizenship.
Yeah, being a Ghanaian citizen, bro. We love being Ghanaian. Proud of the country. So it's nice to see other people from different parts of the world want to kind of identify with that.
Exactly.
Heritage and want to be a part of the whole thing. So, shouts to him.
Exactly. I mean, it's great. It's great to be black and it's great to be African.
It is.
We're always talking about that, which is Pan-Africanism.
Vibes, being proud of where you're from. I think with me. Probably with you and maybe a lot of you guys watching or listening can relate to this. I didn't really, so my identity as a Ghanaian or as a black person, I never really looked at myself as a black person until I left Ghana for the first time.
I tell you, I think I can relate to that. Yeah.
And then I began to, my Ghanaian or my African identity began to become a bit more apparent to me when I left Ghana. Yeah. I started to appreciate those things more. Yeah. Because then you look around you and there's different cultures, different types of people. And then you see people do their own thing, represent their cultures. You go to like an Indian restaurant or a Tamil restaurant or whatever. You eat the food and you're like, oh man, this is nice, but it reminds me of this at home, or this other thing back home is also good. You want to show off to your friends and say
that's true.
So it made me a bit more conscious of the fact that I'm African and the fact that I'm black, and it just it does something to you when you leave and you go to a different place, and then you become the minority. It does something to you, right? Did you experience something like that?
Yeah, I was literally thinking about something that recently happened. So a colleague of mine went back home to Tanzania and came back with when he came back, he brought something to work and said, "Oh, this is Tanzanian delicacy." Yeah, and I'm thinking, "Oh, that looks like yoyi to me." I don't know what that's called.
I know what it's called in English. It's called a velvet tamarind.
Velvet
tamarind. So
brilliant.
It makes sense because the casing.
The case, yeah.
So what we're talking about is, I don't know what is it.
For those of you who don't know, it's called velvet.
Oh, it's a berry.
Velvet tamarind. Check that out on Google right now. And then that's the thing this bloke brought, yeah. But it wasn't that. It looked just like that. Because I've eaten velvet tamarind.
Yeah.
many times in my time when I was back home.
Same.
Yeah? You pop it off the casing.
Yeah.
And then you suck the velvet bit off.
Yeah.
And then it's left with this hard bit where you cannot eat
like
or
a
chew.
seed, yeah.
And then you just have to bend that. It's exactly the same, but you don't pop anything off it.
How?
And I'm thinking, man. So I said to him, this thing reminds me of Yoi, which I said about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's like, man, no, this is no, it's different. So I had to go on Google and put it in there, and then it popped up, and it's like, oh, yeah, but ours doesn't look like, but it's quite similar. And so yeah, it helps. These kind of experiences whilst you're away from Ghana makes you connect back home to realize the similarities between other African countries and ours.
Yeah.
And aside from that, the connections between that and here where we live, because there are so many berries here that might be similar to velvet tamarind, but it's in its own way it's a bit different. But yeah, you can always connect when you're abroad and you feel like, man, this is this Ghanaian way of doing things, you know, or this is the Nigerian way of doing things, or the Gambian way of doing things. It's just
interesting,
amazing,
isn't it?
It's just amazing. But
It's
social media technology has played a massive role.
It has.
In terms of how we connect. And
it has, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's WhatsApp and everybody calls on WhatsApp, isn't it?
Yeah.
And FaceTime.
WhatsApp, FaceTime, what's the other one? Telegram is a new thing. I don't use Telegram, but
for some reason, man, but a lot of people use it though.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons, Telegram and Signal. Signal is more...
Signal is the secretive one, isn't it?
That's like more secure. I guess it's more encryption. And I know, you know, some people in... You know,
I've got the app.
Lines of work use that exclusively for like work communications, but it's interesting. Now there's a plethora of options, you know, for like chatting and stuff.
Loads of them.
When we were coming up, like in like, you know, early uni days or towards the end of high school, everyone was on the Blackberries, you know. It was like BBM. Bro. And I never owned a Blackberry. I had some of my guys. Did you ever have a Blackberry?
That's the first. I have to say, I was peer pressured into it, man. I was peer pressured into it.
I don't blame you, bro.
I was peer pressured into it. I ended up buying a Blackberry that was half. The neck was half broken, but it was a Blackberry though, and it was working. So I used it as it was, and I joined the BBM trail for a while.
Yeah.
And then I had to come off it eventually because I was thinking, man,
what was it like? Because I never had a Blackberry, so I don't know what eventually BBM came onto Android, but
it came onto Android.
It was late because by then,
and at that time, a lot of people had left.
It had kind of like stopped.
It had declined definitely.
What was it like? What was all the hype about?
It's just the fact that all you have to do is take somebody's at Signal, whatever it is, like the pin. That's what it was. You take somebody's pin, and then all you have to do is just have a contact. You don't need the phone number. You know, we were used to sort of getting somebody's phone number first before you can contact them.
Yeah.
At a point, these pins were being distributed online, like you get pins sent to you, and then you're like, okay, so you're going to be contacting people you have no idea about, but then eventually you can make friends, you know. And in Ghana at the time, I think having pen pals was a thing. You can chat with people all over the world without buying extra credits, which at that time was expensive to buy. So yeah, it was a trendy thing at the time, and I enjoyed it for the time. And then at the point I'm thinking, man, I need to go back to Apple, because I've always been an Apple person.
Dude,
I quite remember when I first saw an iPhone, I was bamboozled. I don't know what else to say, but I was looking at the phone. It's my uncle who using it, the iPhone, the 3GS.
Yeah.
The 3G, and I was thinking, man, what's this? Because we are used to these keyboards, and you can type, you can see QWERTY keyboard, and QW. It was nothing. It was just glass,
bro.
And I was looking at it like, who created this,
bro?
I was
2007 was when it came out, wasn't
2007
it?
ish.
Yeah.
I was
crazy.
amazed. And I was sitting in the back of the car. He was driving and he was using it. It was just flexing us. But we were thinking, but I was looking at the screen. I was like, how is he even typing? And from then I was like, man, I love this phone. I need to get it. And then I've always been an Apple person since then. But he influenced me a little bit. But yeah, Apple is Apple.
Apple, bro.
I love them.
Same thing. The first iPhone I ever had was an iPhone 3G that my dad gave me. And yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
It got stolen, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It got stolen. That's a story. Maybe another day I'll tell the story. But it was cool. Yeah, I loved it. It was, Apple, I mean, they were ahead of their time those days.
Definitely.
I think
definitely. They were pace setters, weren't they?
Ahead of, like the Android people a little bit. Because in those days, Samsung had their own operating system.
Sony Ericsson had their own operating system.
And then over time, they all started running Android and just exclusively producing their hardware and then designing their UI user interface. Yeah. But it's those are like good times when the smartphone wave start to pop up.
But yeah, Apple definitely pace setters, I think.
Yeah.
Pace setters, I think. Because I had a story in mind, but it's just skipped me. But I kid you not, when I first saw the iPhone, I could still feel that nostalgia. Like, man, I was looking at the thing. How is that even possible? Because we were used to, this Nokia. There was this Nokia that had a keyboard, a QWERTY keyboard as well.
Was it one of them ones where it was like you had to use it in like landscape? The keyboard is like a cross.
Yes.
Was it like a was it a sliding phone or there's like
you can actually push it up.
Flip. Yeah, it's a sliding phone. You could like slide it open like that,
man,
and sort of like this.
And these were the days where Motorola Razr were like up there,
bro.
These were the ish phones because they were sleek, they were flat. And then from nowhere, there's a phone that has no keyboard iPhone, at all. Yeah. Man, it was amazing.
I think we came up in interesting times because we've seen different phases of technology. Do you remember in Ghana when SIM card mobile phones became a thing? I know they used to have all these like big brick phones before, like in the 90s, and I don't think my parents had no, I don't think so. My parents didn't have them, but when mobile phones became a thing, like the early Nokias and Sony Ericssons,
the 3310s,
and then we had in Ghana I can't remember the first network provider.
Mobitel.
So Mobitel, shouts to all the Ghanaians that know what Mobitel is.
Yeah.
Mobitel was a thing.
Mobitel
and in those
was
days, even the SIM cards were expensive. Man, you had to
pay. You had to
fork out a big,
literally,
like a bag.
Literally, and those phones that came with Mobitel eventually. I quite remember Mobitel came out as an analog.
Oh, did it?
It came out as an analog initially, where they sell you the phone.
Okay, so there's no SIM card, so you
and then that phone that you go flip and then you pull.
Yeah.
And there you go. Put some subtitles in there for that if you can.
I'll put subtitles here for those of you who don't understand.
So that's man. I remember when I was in JSS, junior high school, I had to go hungry for nearly 2 months just so I can buy one of those phones. I kid you not. Brother. I went hungry. I'm sure if my mom listens to this at some point,
you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
Mommy, forgive Reggie.
She was giving me all that money. I kept it on the side. 2 to 3 months, I reckon. And then I used that money to buy one of those phones. And it wasn't even a working one. I just wanted to be able to flip it and pull it up. Yeah. And I'm going to be, flexing it out and say, man, I've got a mobile phone. It was amazing. Things have changed. Things have changed. When you went into the 3310s, when the Snake game was up there.
Bro, Snake. There was another one. It was like a space game on the Nokia.
That's the one that you were shooting a lot of things. You moved to the left and right.
And then there's
great, man.
one of the bosses was like a thing with tentacles. Like, oh man, and
you
those
have
are
to
fun
kill
times.
it and hide, kill it, hide,
Yeah,
kill it. I
Bro.
mean, those were the times when
Those are fun
gameplay
times.
was easier. You know,
those are fun times.
but yeah, a lot has changed, and we thank God for technology, though.
Thank God for technology.
Yeah,
By whose I don't want to use the word grace, but by that reason we are broadcasting this to you guys.
This to
it's
you
come
guys.
a long way. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy what we've seen in our lifetime.
yeah, it's been
in this
amazing.
Relatively short period of time.
It's been amazing.
So much has happened. It's crazy.
It's been amazing, and that brings me to what we'll be discussing on the next episode.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we're not gonna give any snippet of it.
Yes, if you want to find out,
Yeah,
tough luck. Watch the next one.
watch the next one, but just tune in. Just tune in on the next one.
Tune in, yeah.
We'll be talking a little bit about stuff that we all normally enjoy, music and stuff. But we'll
talk about it. Yeah,
we'll
talk about it. Yeah, but shouts to everybody. That's I guess helped us set up. Our wives. Shouts to Shidi Bobo. Shouts to AKA Lamisi, AKA Blessed Hands. Shouts to my wife. Yeah, shouts to my sisters for the feedback, for all the the support. Shouts to my mom. Shouts to my dad.
Yeah. Shouts to everybody. Shouts to God, the great architect himself.
Yes, great architect of the universe. Yes, sir.
Shout outs to my missus, my mom, everybody who's been an influence. And shout out to my sister actually,
because
she called a little while ago, Steph.
Yeah,
she called a little while ago before we recorded this one. So shout outs to everybody who's out there, and the viewers and the listeners. We are really grateful, and hopefully we get some more feedback from you guys on the on our social medias. Yeah, so we can interact, isn't it?
Yeah, there's gonna be the link to our Instagram inside the the comment area of wherever you're watching. Spotify now has a comment area where you can leave your thoughts and stuff. So go in there, you'll see the links to our Instagram, and then if you have any thoughts, if you have any ideas, feel free, share those with us. We'll do our best to respond, and I mean we will respond, but we'll do our best to take on any new ideas you guys have.
Yeah. We would love to integrate. And then guess what, guys? We'll be reading a few messages and we'll be giving out we'll be shouting out those who are actually writing them. Yeah. We'll be putting your handles on the screen so that you guys can get involved. You're all part of the part of the Black Star Reflections podcast anyway. Exactly. So we'll be doing that. And on that note,
yes, sir.
We'll be catching up on the next one.
On the next one.
All good.